There's a song by Bob Dylan called Things Have Changed. And in the song, he talks about how all the truth in the world adds up to one big lie. And how he used to care, maybe not him specifically, but the song is about this person that used to care, but things have changed. I am slowly beginning to realize the power of indifference while also realizing that while it can attract things into your life by being indifferent, it is still good to recognize that you have a poverty in your soul. And there's at least a soul left to save when you realize this poverty in the soul. I was at the gym over the past couple days, and there's been a similar group of women around me at this time. And I usually just stick to my thing. Like I don't talk to anybody when I'm out and about. Usually I'd like to just do what I'm there to do and commit and, just focus on my purpose. And I don't like wearing headphones because, well, what are you going to do when you don't have those headphones anymore? Or what are you going to do if the power goes out and you don't have anything to listen to? You're just going to have your mind, right? So you've got to maintain a kind of mental fortitude in working out. And I use this as an exercise to practice my own self-talk. And so something that the women were talking about was how they just don't need any men. And, they don't need any men, and, they're bad bitches, and they don't really need that kind of stuff in their life anyway, and that kind of drama that the men bring. And I was just kind of listening to it, and in my mind I was just thinking, like, what happened? Like, what happened to these ladies out here? Like, how about they try being mothers again? These women that are just so dedicated to hating men, and yet they dress as though they only need the attention of men. And so I carry on again. I'm just focusing on my thing, and at the corner of my eye, I begin to notice that one of them takes off their sweater and they're just in their sports bra now. And I'm not looking directly, I'm just obviously, like, I have situational awareness, and I'm conscious of everything. I always keep my head on a swivel anyway. I'm a very alert person. I've had a hard life, and I don't like to be caught off guard too often. But I'm not going to give you free attention and validation just because you're wearing a sports bra. So anyway, this woman in particular kept trying. The one that was talking about how she doesn't need any men was trying to, like, walk into my line of sight and was trying to get my attention. And it was very, like, covert, of course, but intuitively you can feel when a woman is trying to get your attention and trying to get you to notice her. And especially, like, when they're vain women, you can definitely tell, because they're not going to be shy about trying to get your attention. And it's so funny to me because, like, I sometimes think to myself, like, some of the women may disagree with me on this. I don't know. But the thing is like, women, have you ever been a man dating or courting a woman? If you are a woman and you're not a man, then you probably don't have the kind of experience that is required to make this kind of assessment. And most men oftentimes need to understand how to attract women in the first place, and they need to be the emotionally solid ones almost exclusively. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's just the way it is. And so really the message here is to not let the world indoctrinate and just demonize and isolate your daughters. There is so many things out there like, well, number one, I don't give a shit about your career driven or your intelligence or anything like that as a man if I'm interested in a woman. I don't care about it. And I know that can come across as some, like, it may be kind of harsh to hear sometimes because you're so used to this kind of mindset. But when I really began to wake up on this spiritual path and realize like a lot of the things that I was supposed to find attractive in women, really I didn't find attractive. And the reason being was because, well, it just, why would I want an ambitious woman? Why would I want to come home to a competition? Why would I want to come home to a place where I'm always in a mode of like not teamwork, but like going against each other? I don't like it actually. And I think that a lot of these women think that men like it. And if you're very like I don't know if you guys have ever heard of The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene, but I highly recommend anybody to read it really because I think it's a very informative book. But in it there's like 17 or 18 types of people that, or kinds of like archetypes of people that you are going to seduce. And if you are a conqueror, I think is what the term is called. Yeah, conqueror. You're actually, turned on by that. But I'm not that. so I'm not very interested in that. And the thing is like most men are not conquerors nowadays. They, at least the archetype of a conqueror, I think the most accurate term to talk about more is dominance. And I don't mean dominance as in like controlling. I mean dominance as in assertiveness and confidence. And I do not associate the term dominance with being controlling at all. Dominance is, here's X. If you do Y or Z, that's fine, but I'm only going to interact with you if you choose Y. And if you choose Z, I'm out. It's really as simple as that. And so really you're giving, like as a dominant person, you're giving people choices. And depending on their choices, because freedom of free agency, you have your right to choose what you do and what you don't do. But depending on what you choose is whether or not I'm going to be wanting to be involved with you. So anyway, the story about the gym, going back to that. So things kind of start to heat up, and this woman, she like takes off her headphones, and I could like, I'm just doing my reps at this point, and I could tell she's like visibly getting irritated. And when I go to get up off the bench and I put my weights back, she like almost stops me in front of me, and I just like keep walking. I'm completely stoic, keep walking. And she like looks at me like, she's like right here now. And she looks at me, and I could see like there's like fire coming out of her. Like she is starting to get pretty upset that I'm not like acknowledging her. And she almost stops me. I just go to put my weights back. I wipe down the bench, and I go to a different machine, and there's this like lingering effect as I'm wiping down the bench. She's asking her friend like who that guy is, and like who does he think he is. And I just kind of like smile as I walk away, because I really don't give a shit about women like that. No offense, women that are not like that, but well, yeah, exactly. I don't care about your vanity. I don't care about your narcissism. It's really just a turnoff. And I really don't think, like, one of the most attractive qualities that I think about in women is, number one, and I've mentioned this in a previous comment to a response to one of my videos recently. It's like, are you fertile? Are you fit? Are you capable of having a motherly attitude and mindset? Because as a man of God, I'm not going to look for a woman that is not potentially going to want a family someday. Why would I waste my time? Like, I have my own plan. I have my own plan of what I want to do. But why would I waste my time? And men, why would you continue to stick your phallus in the pink palace that has everybody else in that palace? It just is disgusting. It is. The men out here are really like the men that are completely simps and that are just catering to this woman and making sure that she feels like the goddess that she is, and she is just, slay queen. You men out there that are encouraging that kind of behavior, it needs to stop. And quite frankly, I mean, you can keep doing it if you want, but if it doesn't stop, the whole problem with modern society is going to get worse. And the daughters that are currently growing up right now in families and in homes across the world, they're not going to get an any better shot than you are right now. And it's not going to help the problem. The only way that we're going to be able to help this problem is to stand true and to stand firm in standards and virtues, even if it doesn't pan out, and just doing the right thing at this time. This is going to take generations to fix this poverty of humankind and this lack of wanting to protect the household. I mean, really, at this point, the government, by all means, is the head of the household for most families across the United States. And if you don't believe me, just look at any kind of marriage records where 90% of the women, if they're college educated, are going to, and if they're married, end up in divorce, or are the ones that initiate divorce. And then the rest that initiate divorce that are not college educated and that have divorce, women are 70%. They're choosing to leave. Those women are the ones that are choosing to opt out of these marriages at this time. And I don't know exactly the reason why, apart from the feminization of society. A lot of people in the world of feminism still think that we live in like a patriarchy. And when I look around, I just think to myself, like, really? Like, really? Bill Burr, who's a comedian, he he talks about this one skit where he's like, there were no feminists on the Titanic. and he talks about how when in the Titanic, most women come out like, oh, isn't that so romantic? Isn't it so beautiful? And Bill Burr goes like, "No, that's a freaking horror film." Like, and he goes on and it's like, if you really wanted quality women, and of course, like he's still joking at this point, but every comedy skit, like it always has truth to it. And so what he's saying is he's like, it's like, look, the truth is like, if you want equal pay, then you better be with me side by side, listening to the violin play or the Coachella or whatever play on the Titanic as the children are going into the boats. Because in the movie The Titanic, if nobody's ever seen it, all of the women and children get to leave the Titanic and all the men get to stay. Why? Why is that? Because men protect and provide. That is really what it means. That is just it's the protection of the safety of those that are, I wouldn't say vulnerable, but it's more like a protection of God's creation, really, and protection for the future generations. And really, there's something about sacrificing oneself to the greatness of the unity of life that really puts things into perspective. I mean, that's the hero archetype, right? But anyway, going back to the Titanic. So yeah, like in the Titanic, everybody, all the men have to stay, and then they freeze and die, and then the women and the children are fortunate enough to live. But I'm not seeing the the women in this generation as marriage material. And I'm well aware that I am not the top 1% of the population in the world. But it's almost as if women only want that now, or at least they want the perception of status, which is, I understand it. Like, I understand you wanting the best of the best, women. I get it. And you know what? That's your prerogative. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can come home to your cat and your dog, or your fish or whatever, or you could start learning about how to become a mother and how to protect your household again. This goes back to what I was talking about at the beginning, is the realization of the poverty of the soul. When you realize this poverty of the soul, that's when you also understand that you have a soul worth saving. And of course, like, now there's actually another video that I'll put down in the links below. It's called Game Over, or at least yeah, I think that's what it's called. It's like, I'm done with those spiritual games or something like that. I'll put it in the link, and that's what I did a while ago. And it has in the video, it talks about like my equation that I came up with for a man that's marriage material and a woman that's marriage material. So that'll be good to check out as well. But I hope this message was useful and informative, and I understand if a lot of people may have disagreements with this, but I do hope that you listen to this with without resistance, and just the acceptance of the possibility of different viewpoints being true. So, with that being said, may peace be with you. Till next time.